over here in Mercer County today at quite the site. Joel Penhorwood here for the Ohio AgNet. This Cab Cam series brought to you by Precision Agri Services. More information online at precisionagriservices.com. And you might say, hey, you're not in a cab right now. Well, we'll call this a lot of cabs cams, okay? Because this is quite the operation over here at MVP Dairy. It's a feast for your eyes. And joining me right now, Luke VanTilburg, part of the VanTilburg family, and those behind this wonderful operation. Luke, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into some more of the background of this farm over here, how's silage harvest going for you guys this year?
It's going really well, Joel. We're off to a good start. We started Monday morning, and we've been hitting it ever since. And this afternoon, this evening, we'll be roughly a third of the way done. So it's always good to climb those hurdles, hit those marks, and have the end in sight here middle of next week.
Sure is good to be at this point in the season, especially when earlier in the spring it was sort of a little of an interesting one. How has this year's planting growing season been for you guys now that we're heading into harvest?
So it was dry in May and June, just like pretty much all of Ohio, and then we started getting some timely rains. We've never had excessive rain the whole growing season. We've always basically just kind of got 0.6 to an inch and a little more here and there, basically just enough to get by. Every time you would just start to think, hey, it's really starting to get dry, we would get just enough to kick that can down the road for another 7 to 10 days until it started getting dry again. Now finishing the season out here, we're a little dry again, so I think it might be taking some of the top end yield off. But overall, very good growing season. We're very happy with the silage harvest we're having, as well as the potential in the grain and the soybeans that's out there yet.
Only time will tell. And we've been talking to a lot of farmers out there who said, hey, they've been seeing some leaf disease out there, among some other things. Have you guys been seeing this your way over by Salina?
Yeah, so yes, in our silage we are seeing some tar spot come in. It has really just kind of shown up here and there. A couple fields have it worse than others, so it's definitely spotty, but every field has a little bit, and overall nothing too overly terribly bad, but it is definitely, it seems like it's gotten worse here as with the cooler weather it set in the past week, as well as the foggy mornings. The cooler foggy mornings has kind of created a little more of an environment for it to thrive in. And so we're definitely starting to see the effects of that a little bit more, and kind of adjusting our harvest to those fields that need it a little quicker.
Oh, for sure. And if you're watching this here, you might say, well, that's quite the background. This is not a green screen. This is actually happening behind us, all of the activity. And now that we've talked a little bit about how this year has been, how the silage harvest is progressing along, let's talk about your perspective as really a manager of logistics for this farm. Maybe let's start with MVP Dairy and all the silage that you guys have to bring forth to feed this impressive operation. For those not familiar with MVP, let's start there. What all are you guys about here?
So MVP is a McCarty-VanTilburg partnership. It's a joint venture of two family farms, and we're 4,500 head cow dairy here in Salina. And McCarty family kind of brings the dairy experience to the table, and the VanTilburg family brings the grain and land-based to the table. And so we started chopping, as I said earlier this week. We're going to chop about 2,100 acres total. It'll should all fit in the bunk behind us. We'll keep stacking it up higher and higher, and we'll end up bringing all that silage all the way out. So the bunk was completely empty when we started, so it's kind of interesting seeing how much it has filled up already in just 2.5 days. But so yeah, we should hopefully finish up. Most of the silage coming off about 65% moisture, so the moisture range right now is really well. We'll keep hunting and pecking around in some fields to figure out which ones are dry, or have enough, are getting dry enough to continue harvest, or see if we'll have to take a break or not.
Yeah, and let's continue to talk about the many trucks, the many tractors in action. But how many guys do you have out here working with you this week?
So in order for we sometimes refer to as organized chaos, in order for it to make all the magic happen, it takes about 30 folks. So that's, we run two 12-row choppers is what we run, and then we have 8 semis with each chopper, so 16 semis. We have a 5-man crew packing. We got 3 pushers and 2 packers, and then we have someone in the scale house run the scale house, and then it takes about 3 of us back here at the shop area to sample the forage, test it, and check moistures, take feed samples so that way we can make sure we have good quality, know what we're going to feed as the season goes along, do our non-GMO testing and that sort of thing. And then of course it takes a handful to keep everything moving and keep everybody organized and moving from one field to another, and working with crop insurance adjusters to keep them organized of which fields we're going to, and making sure, try to make sure we don't have to leave any corn standing. We can just chop it all and not have to leave any for crop insurance as a part of the program too. So it takes a lot of effort to coordinate things and keep everybody flowing.
And I would also say food is a big part of that as well. You probably have a whole catering team ready for you guys.
Yeah, so we have my mom and dad and a couple family friends. Basically, it's a team of 5 that we make a hot meal for the entire crew every evening. So they pack their lunch, but we try to provide them a hot meal just as a way to say thanks. You know, this is hey, it's harvest season, as everybody knows. Makes for some long days, and just kind of gives them a nice break and a nice warm meal.
And we know you guys out here, you get to talk a lot with the consumers, those not familiar with agriculture through your impressive Dairy Learning Center. But also, since we get to talk to a lot of farmers directly, do you guys answer any common questions to those around you? Say, hey, I'm a farmer, but your guys' operation is a little bit different than ours. What are some of those questions that you're answering to fellow farmers over here in Western Ohio?
I guess I'm not sure if there's ever necessarily a common question. I mean, anytime we network with farmers, whether it's us or, people asking us questions, it goes both ways, and it's a great opportunity to learn from other farmers' experiences. We kind of have, just like every operation, we have a way of doing things, and there's other farmers that have other ways of doing things, and doesn't mean one's right or wrong, or, there's better or worse practices. It's just everybody does what they think's right, and everybody does what works for them. And so, the big thing is, no matter what your operation is, we always just say, hey, continuous improvement. Learn whatever management method you're using. Just always look for ways to improve it and get better. And that's kind of our philosophy, no matter what kind of practices we're using, is the continuous improvement and trying to do things better year after year.
A good philosophy to have over here in Western Ohio. Joining me right now, Luke VanTilburg from the MVP Dairy. Of course, that stands for McCarty-VanTilburg Partnership. And thank you very much for joining us here today on the Ohio AgNet. This Cab Cam series brought to you by Precision Agri-Services, Inc. Find more at precisionagriservices.com. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joel Penhorwood. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
This Cab Cam series is made possible by Precision Agri-Services, Inc. Since 1994, Precision Agri-Services, Inc. has provided the best agronomic, environmental, ag technology, planter services, and planter products to farmers and agribusinesses. For more info, visit precisionagriservices.com.